Before I get down to business and read some of the Sumerians' documentation of what may have been a real series of actual events in our cosmos, let me say that these are the translations of Zecharia Sitchin. This is his work, his life's work, in fact. I'm going to read from the Lost Book of Enki, copyright 2002 by Zecharia Sitchin, published by Baron Company, a division of Inner Traditions International. The purpose of this reading is purely informational and or educational. There are no profits, money, or other benefits which flow from this reading. In fact, I would suggest you go and buy this book. It is available for your iPhone, and it's really excellent. Let's see here. I also want to say that in the Lost Book of Enki, we're going to read the second tablet. This is the section where we have Allelu. Allelu was the king on Nibiru, but in a festival of grappling and naked public combat, he lost to Anu. So as Tablet 2 opens, Allelu is shamed. He's heading for his celestial boat. As he's getting into his boat, he's sort of thinking about someplace that he knows of where there's a lot of gold. Gold is needed to create a shield around Nibiru to protect its atmosphere, which apparently has collapsed or is gone or what have you. Sound familiar? The particles of gold are vital for Nibiru. So if somebody finds gold, they're going to be like the hero. So this is kind of like one of those, wait till they see me and I'll show them. So Allelu hops into his boat. He's headed for the gold and he's planning on being the dude. So here we go. To snow-hued earth, Allelu set his course. By a secret from the beginning, he chose his destination. To regions forbidden, Allelu made his way. No one has gone there before. No one at the hammered bracelet, a crossing, had attempted. A secret from the beginning, Allelu's course has determined. The fate of Nibiru in his hands it placed, by a scheme his kingship to make universal. On Nibiru, exile was certain. That was because he lost to Anu. There, death itself he was chancing. In his scheme, risk was in the journey. Eternal glory of success was the reward. Riding like an eagle, Allelu the heavens scanned. Below, Nibiru was a ball in a voidness, hanging. Alluring was its figure. Its radiance emblazoned the surrounding heavens. Its measure was enormous. Its belchings fire blazed forth. Its life-sustaining envelope, that would be the gold. Its hue, a redness, was like the sea churning. That's why you often see Nibiru pictured as having a red glow around it. That's the gold. In the midst, the breach was distinct, like a darkened wound. There's a break in the shields. He looked down again. The wide breach turned into a small tub. He looked again. Nibiru's great ball turned into a small fruit. The next time he looked, in the wide dark sea, Nibiru had disappeared. Remorse the heart of Allelu grasped. Fear held him in its hands. Decision to hesitation turned. To halt in his tracks, Allelu considered. Then from audacity to decision he returned. So he's going forward to find that goal. 100 leagues, 1,000 leagues, the chariot was coursing. 10,000 leagues, the chariot was journeying. In the wide heavens, darkness was the darkest. In the faraway, distant stars, their eyes were blinking. More leagues Allelu traveled. Then a sight of great joy met his gaze. In the expanse of the heavens, the celestial's emissary was greeting. Little Gaga, the one who shows the way, by its circuit Allelu was greeting. To him a welcome extending. For the record, Little Gaga is now Pluto, we think. Little Gaga was once Saturn's moons, or, well, one of Saturn's moons. So as Allelu is entering the scene, he's seeing Little Gaga, who at the time was revolving around Saturn. With a leaning gait before and after the celestial Antu, it was destined to travel. Antu is quite possibly Neptune. So with a leaning gait before and after the celestial Antu, it was destined to travel. To face forward, to face backward, with two facings was it endowed. Its appearance as first to greet Allelu was a good omen, he at once considered. By the celestial gods he is welcome, so was his understanding. In his chariot, Allelu followed Gaga's path to the second god of the heavens it was directed. Soon, celestial Antu, its name by King Enshar, was given. Again, Antu is Neptune, we think. Darkness was looming. Blue as pure waters was her view. Of the upper waters she was the commencement. Allelu by the sight's beauty was enchanted. To course at a distance he continued. In the far beyond Antu's spouse began to shimmer. The size Antu's the equal. So he's seeing something that's kind of like Antu. As his spouse's double, by a greenish blueness was N distinguished. We're thinking here that N is probably Uranus, or Uranus, if you prefer. A dazzling host encircled it was on its side, with firm grounds they were provided. To the two celestials Allelu bade fond farewell, the path of Gaga still discerning. The way it was showing to its olden master, of whom it was once the counselor. To Anshar, the foremost prince of the heavens, the course was a turning. By the speeding chariot, Allelu the ensnaring pull of Anshar could tell. So he was being pulled into Saturn. By the speeding chariot, Allelu the ensnaring pull of Anshar could tell. With bright rings of dazzling colors, this chariot it was enchanting. Bright rings, dazzling colors. Saturn. His gaze Allelu to one side quickly turned. That which shows the way, with might he diverted. A sight most awesome then to him appeared. In the faraway heavens, the family's bright star he discerned. A sight most frightening the revelation followed. A giant monster in its destiny moving. Upon the sun, a darkening cast. Kishar, its creator, swallowed. Kishar is possibly Jupiter. Frightening was the occurrence. An evil omen, Allelu indeed thought. The giant Kishar, foremost of the firm planets, its size was overwhelming. Sounds like Jupiter. Swirling storms obscured its face. Colored spots they moved about, a host beyond counting. Some quickly, some slowly, the celestial god encircled. Troublesome were their ways. Back and forth they were surging. Yes, it does sound like Jupiter to me. Kishar itself a spell was casting. Divine lightnings it was thrusting. As Allelu looked on, his course became upset. His direction was distracted. His doings became confused. Then the deepness darkening began to depart. Kishar on his destiny continued to circuit. Slowly moving its veil from the shining sun it lifted. The one from the beginning came fully into view. Joy in Allelu's heart was not long lasting. Beyond the fifth planet, the utmost danger was lurking, so indeed he knew. The hammered bracelet. Some sort of asteroid belt, perchance? The hammered bracelet ahead was raining. To demolish it was awaiting. Of rocks and boulders was it together hammered. Like orphans with no mother they banded together. Surging back and forth, a bygone destiny they followed. Their doings were loathsome, troubling were their ways. Nibiru's probing chariots, like preying lions they devoured. The precious gold needed for the surviving, they refused to dislodge. The chariot of Allelu towards the hammered bracelet was headlong moving. The ferocious boulders in close combat to boldly face. Allelu, the firestones in his chariot, were more strongly stirred up. That which shows the way, with steady hands he directed. The ominous boulders against the chariot charged forward, like an enemy in battle attacking. Toward them Allelu, a death-dealing missile from the chariot let loose. Excuse me, did this 5,000-year-old text just talk about a missile firing from a chariot? Anyway, then another and another against the enemy, the terror weapons he thrust. Terror weapons. Just saying. As frightened warriors, the boulders turn back, a path for Allelu granting. So basically, Allelu is in his spaceship and he is blasting through all this crap. Like by a spell, the hammered bracelet, a doorway to the king, it opened. In the dark deepness, Allelu, the heavens could clearly see. By the bracelet's ferocity, he had not been defeated. His mission was not ended. In the distance, the sun's fiery ball, its brilliance was sending forth. Welcoming rays towards Allelu it was emitting. Before it, a red-brown planet on its circuit was coursing. The sixth in the count of celestial gods it was. Allelu could but glimpse it. On its destined course from Allelu's path, it was quickly moving. Then, snow-hued Earth appeared, the seventh in the celestial count. Again, just so you know, it's the seventh planet that we're on because they were coming from outer space. Yeah, 5,000-year-old Sumerian tablet talking about the planets from the perspective of someone coming from outer space. Again, just saying. The snow-hued Earth appeared, the seventh in the celestial count. Toward the planet, Allelu set his course, to a destination most inviting. Smaller than Nibiru was its alluring ball. Weaker than Nibiru's was its attracting net. Its atmosphere thinner than Nibiru's was. Clouds were swirling within. Below the earth to three regions was divided. Snow white at the top and on the bottom, blue and brown in between. Again, 5,000-year-old tablet. Below the earth to three regions was divided. Snow white at the top and on the bottom, polar caps, blue and brown in between. It's a view of Earth that we didn't think anyone had 5,000 years ago. Just saying. Deathly Allelu spread the chariot's arresting wings around the Earth's ball to circle. It's a winged chariot. I don't know. Does that sound like a myth or could that be real? I don't know. In the middle region, dry lands and watery oceans he could discern. The beam that penetrates downward he directed. That being from his ship, I would imagine. Earth's innards to detect. I have attained it, he ecstatically shouted. Gold, much gold, the beam has indicated. I'm going to back up for a second. Anybody who knows how HARP sort of came about, just going to read that one more time. The beam that penetrates, all of those are capitalized words, so they're talking about a thing. Downward he directed. Allelu is now shooting a beam down at Earth. This is how he knew that there was gold there and decided to brave the hammered bracelet. It was clearly a journey worth making. Those are my words. I have attained it, ecstatically he shouted. Gold, much gold. From his spaceship, he shot a beam and found gold. It was beneath the dark-hued region. In the waters it was too. With pounding heart, Allelu, a decision was contemplating. Shall he on the dry land his chariot bring down, perchance to crash and die? Shall he to the waters his course direct, to perchance into oblivion sink? Which way shall he survive? Will he the treasured gold discover? In the eagle's nest, see, Allelu was not stirring. To fate's hands the chariot he entrusted. Fully caught in Earth's attracting net, the chariot was moving faster. Its spread wings became aglow. Earth's atmosphere like an oven was. Then the chariot shook, emitting a mortifying thunder. With abruptness the chariot crashed, with a suddenness altogether stopping. Senseless from the shaking, stunned by the crash, Allelu was without moving. Then he opened his eyes and knew he was among the living. At the planet of gold, he victoriously arrived. Now this is the account of the Earth. To be continued in the next video.